Good afternoon. So I wanted to come on board, on board. I always say that on board into your cabin, no matter if we're at a resort or on land or in a hotel. That's what happens when you live 8 years at sea and do over 500 cruises. I wanted to come on board and just tell you about the misconceptions that I keep hearing and I keep having to repeat myself, which I totally understand. I'm happy to do, of course, as a business professional, but I think it really is something that needs to be showcased and explained of what the most common misconceptions of being a part of a singles travel group or going on a single sailings are. So, over 500 cruises under my belt, dozens of a dozen years and thousands of singles events. I have quite a few of these misconceptions all laid out. I'll put a little link in the article. If you don't have time to listen right now, you can read it in the comments. And I would just encourage you to just, remind you can ask things live so we can actually answer the questions live because we're all moving so fast and there's so much to do. We're so excited. Travel Fun is at the halfway mark. We are on $1 million first year sales, which is amazing, especially since we made it through COVID. Go team. Our agents, I'm so honored to serve them. I know I own the company, but really I work for them. All of our agents that come on board with us, I am so delighted to tell you how passionate they are, and they're all doing their own thing. We have some that are moving groups around of families, some of federations, others are fitness clubs. It's very, very cool. So thank you again, Travel Fun agents. I love having you, and you delight me all the time. And I love the passion for travel, and I love teaching people what I've done over the years. So I've been kind of the Julie McCoy, if you know the Love Boat, the Julie McCoy in real life. I really did work on the Love Boat on Princess Cruises. I really was the cruise director for one of the biggest singles travel companies. And now we own travelfun.biz, and we book all travel, not just singles, but we do have a niche market because my network is so vast with singles. And I'm passionate about love. I love watching people fall in love. I love creating the environment. I find the whole online dating community to be very harsh. Of course, I know it's worked for some people. I'm not downing the fact that we have other options, but I do definitely believe 100% that the online dating community has created a checklist and in a certain situation where you're constantly trying to find parameters of what you accept, what you want, your deal breakers, where that cuts off a lot of people that you probably would have connected with if they don't fit into those parameters. It also encourages people to be dishonest about their height, their weight, their age, because you have set these parameters and they know you're not going to be inside of them. Which starts off kind of on the wrong foot, I think. But mostly, I am a big firm believer in just meeting in person, belly to belly, because I know when I was dating and I was single up until I was 35. I never got married until I was 35. First and only time, honey, only time. um, we dated for a long time, and I was part of that inception of the online dating world, and I was a part of the old world where we didn't have that option before. And what I felt was so kind of irritating because I don't like to waste my time. Our time is valuable. I've always felt my time is incredibly valuable. I can get a lot done in a day. I take my time very seriously, and I don't want to waste it, and I don't want people to waste it. And I found online dating, there was a lot of wasted time. A lot of scammers, first of all, which is super annoying because I don't get that time back and they're not paying me to have these conversations. And it's also it hurts your psyche a bit when you have these scammers trying to pretend like there's something and they're not. And then there's just really missed opportunities like perceived self, actual self in dating. And what happens there is, people really do think that they are active or they are passionate about one thing or another. But then when you meet them in person, you realize, well, that's more of a perceived self, actual self disconnect there. It's not like purposefully trying to lie to you, but it's just not the reality of things. And we all have that inside of us. Most of us have a perceived self, actual self that's not completely aligned. Uh, and that's okay, but it sucks when you're online dating and you keep getting into these like revolving door conversations where they don't end up somewhere. So I found when I became a big cruise director for the singles, what I loved most about it was really putting people in front of other people that wanted to meet in person. And I also love the fact that it wasn't this interview style dating. We're not a dating service. I don't do that really. I do coach people on the side, but just a few, because there that is very lengthy in time. You really have to get connected with these people to figure out how to help them. But what I have found success doing, and what I really love to do, what I'm passionate about, is putting people together in an environment that is not a dating situation, where you're not just this Q&A. I remember going on these dates and it was like an interview, like, oh, do you want kids? Have you had kids? What kind of job do you have? What kind of car do you drive? I'm like, whoa, man, you haven't even bought me a drink yet. Like, I am not interested in having this kind of conversation with you, or even sharing this kind of information with you, because that's private information for me. And I might want to tell you that if I want to date you, but I can tell you, it doesn't take me much more than 5 minutes max of conversation, where most likely I'm really either attracted to you or I'm not. And it doesn't have anything to do with your profile, or it doesn't have anything to do with the check boxes. There is an energetic quality that you cannot replicate online. There is a pheromone quality that is impossible to replicate online. There's a scent, a literal scent of your energy, that I need to know if, and I can tell you right away when I meet you, whether or not there's any possibility of us ever hooking up, regardless of how good looking you are, or how smart you are, or how rich you are. I can just feed them right out. And I like to get to the point quick. So I always prefer to meet in person. Now, I have some of you that know me. I also have an incredible love story, of a very tumultuous, up and down, heartbreaking, and lovely and excellent ending story with my husband, who I met on cruise ships, not hosting. I never dated the guests. And I have a story about that. You can go to my podcast, Cruise Director, if you'd like to learn more about my real backstory. But, I fell in love on a cruise ship with my husband, and we were both working on board. And it was a romance that, like, I just wish it for everyone. I wish everyone to fall in love like we did. It was really, really special. And I've seen it, I've cultivated it. In fact, one of our last single sailings that we did in January, there's a couple that I believe are still very much together. I haven't chatted with them the last couple of weeks, but they clearly fell deeply in love regardless of what happens, and they're in their 40s or 50s, and just such good people. I happen to know the guy from another friend. I knew him locally, and he just a great guy. I'm really excited that he's met someone, and that was through our single sailing. And that's our, I think, Travel Fund's first couple. Prior to that, I think I have about 150 couples under my belt. Whenever I go on Facebook and say, "Did you meet on one of my single sailings?" It's so fun to see the pictures of the families and such. And I tell people it's not a guarantee. It's not a dating service. Does it happen? Absolutely. It usually happens at least once or twice on a sailing that people do find someone, because they meet in person and they get through all the BS, and they also have a romantic time together to spend and actually get to know each other without being in a rush of the world that we're all in. So the misconceptions, like I got on here to tell you about, I think the top ones. The first one is that people think it's just a hookup fest. They think it's like a frat party, like we're all running around naked. Not the case. Most of it is just it's either at a resort or on board a regular cruise. So you're a group of people in an environment that other families and couples are in. So it's certainly nothing that provocative. We do have one set of sailings that is a little bit more crazy, wilder, and that's that you can ask me about, but it's still adults only, and most of the time it's just a normal cruise. It just happens to be a group of people, so it's just a fun group of adults. The second big thing is that people think it's all 20-year-olds. They somehow think that these 20-year-olds have all this money to burn and want to go on these great vacations. Not true. And also, I like to remind people that 20-year-olds generally don't need any help dating. They already, everywhere they go, they're dating. Every time they walk out the door, their college campus, they're dating. Anywhere they go. So we do have 20 and 30-year-olds, but I would say that is the smallest percentage of age bracket that we have. The majority are 40s plus. And Travel Fun tends to attract the kind of single that is definitely successful, not this like super luxury rich, like, but very, but successful in their own right, and doesn't want to go on the cheapest thing and doesn't want to be around the cheapest stuff, wants to treat themselves nice, and also has definitely some education, and certainly whatever they decided to get into in their industry were somehow professional and successful at it. So that's what travel fun attracts. And I think that just goes because Joel and I are in that category where we are self-made people, we're successful, but we're still fun and we like to have a good time. Work hard, play hard mentality. There are other singles groups that are like bottom barrels, cheapest you can get, and you can find some nice people there, but you will also get a lot of riffraff. Just like anywhere you go, when you go to the cheapest thing, it's not necessarily the best thing. In fact, hardly ever is the cheapest thing the best thing. And so we don't really cater to the cheapest thing. We don't cater to the most luxurious either. We're mid-range, and we try to do upscale environment things for our singles because we like them to have a nice time, and same thing for our couples and our families. The third big thing is a meat market. It's definitely not a meat market. Certainly, there are people that are there for one thing and one thing only, and that goes like anywhere, right? In high school, you always have someone that's promiscuous, so there's always that around, but it's not the main. It's not the main demographics point. In fact, most people are really going there because they don't want to be completely alone on vacation, but their friends are married or broke. And so they still want to have a little fun, but still have someone to have dinner with, not be the third wheel in all of these beautiful excursions. You don't want to be completely by yourself. You want to have like a group of camaraderie. And we host them. And so you always have that host as a touch point for any questions and just to introduce you and such like that. So that's really nice. Another misconception I have, they have, is that they will find singles on a regular cruise. And I've seen this kind of pop up more and more. And I'm going to be straight with you. I have been completely by myself. When I worked on cruise ships, when I first got there, I knew no one. I mean, no one. I didn't never had even been on a cruise ship when I signed up to work on board for 6 months, which I don't recommend to people, but it was great for me. I wanted out of Massachusetts, and I wanted to be in the warm weather. It was very important to me. And I wanted to be around people that were on vacation because I like that vibe. It's a fun vibe. So basically, people will say, "Oh, I travel solo." And I'm like, "Really? By yourself? You really go by yourself?" And those people that do that and like that, they're probably not our people, because even I am very independent. I love my alone time, but I don't want to go a week away by myself, surrounded by couples, like in families. Like that's just, and sitting by myself at dinner or having to sit with other couples. It's just like, that is not ideal, especially when you can pay the same amount and just come with us pretty much. Like it's just, or 20 bucks extra, 20 bucks a day extra, to have all these events and singles opportunities and people to dance with on the dance floor and people to meet and just not be the third wheel. So you will not find a lot of singles on a regular cruise or resort unless you're booking with a singles company. That is just a misconception. And honestly, if you had that much fun by yourself, then definitely just book by yourself, because it's really a kind of person that likes to be by themselves, can do what they want, but still likes to be with other people and is social and still wants to make friends and learn new things and meet other people. So that's really what we cater to. Another misconception is it'll only be women. This is not true. Men are very much travelers, and they really do like traveling with us. And the reason is because they understand that if they're over 35 years old and they haven't found the one yet, you probably want to do something that you're interested with. And a great synergy here would be that you both love to travel. You both have the means to travel. And another thing for the men, I think that they like about this is that a lot of times, especially good, successful men are, and this happens to women too, but let's just talk the majority. Good, successful men generally have a tendency to get a lot of women that just want something from them, and they want them to bring them on the trips. And I think successful men these days recognize the fact that you need a successful woman. So you need a woman that can do it herself too. Most successful men that are still looking to marry or have a long-term relationship that are not right now, that are single, I think they want to have a woman that doesn't just want them for their money, because that's a completely different experience. That's an exchange that is still going on, but certainly not as much as it used to. Most women, I think, especially women that vibe with me, yes, we love the chivalry and we love when a man will take us out and pay for dinner and make us feel like a princess, but we also don't want to feel like we owe them anything. We're modern women. We definitely are still feminine, but we also don't want to be owned just because you took us on vacation. And so that's a different change in the last 25, 30 years. And I think men like these trips because they know these women have their own money and their own right and their own passions, and they're not just looking for something from them. And women also, same sort of thing, except for I think women mostly like meeting men that like to travel, because I think women on the whole love to travel even more. If we're just majority wise, women's passion is really travel. So, that's pretty cool where they actually find other men. They find men that want to travel, that have traveled, that don't just say they want to travel, like I said, perceived self. Um, perceived self and actual self. Larry, do I have to say niche again? What did I do wrong? um, and nice to see you, Tom. I'll show that comment. That's cute. But yeah, I think men and women really benefit from what we do because we're putting them in an environment where they can meet like-minded people that like to travel. There's no pressure of dating. There's no interview style dating. If you meet someone you like on board, you may ask them out to dinner, but it's not like this big thing. And you also have a lot of time. Like you could have 3 dates in one day, actually, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It just actually by happenstance. Another thing I love about the singles trips is that they get to meet several times and in a day, and it can be impromptu. It's a kind of always a big environment nowadays, but you're still like, oh wow, I see you again. You're kind of in the same neighborhood, so to speak, whereas in our regular lives we're so separated. It's hard to even run into your neighbor by mistake. Like I have neighbors that I've never even met, and I've lived here over 5 years, and I have neighbors that I don't even know. And we live in a pretty small community, so our lives are just so busy. It's nice to just go on vacation and be able to run into someone again and be happy about that. And I think the human psyche sort of speeds up time, where when you spend a week with someone on a cruise or on a resort, it's like 3 months because you have this like really focused, concentrated time. And then your mind sort of forgets that it's focused time, and you might see them twice, 3 times that day, but it feels like you've seen them that week, because of the fact that, I don't know, cruise ship time or vacation time kind of has a different speed, doesn't it? At least does for me. I remember one of my favorite couples that are married that I was hosting their sailing when they met. And they were a younger couple in their 30s, gorgeous, and very successful. And the guy I had known for a very long time, and I kind of like felt like an older sister to him. And I was really like tentative when he met her because I just wanted to make sure it was for the right reasons. But they met on Halloween, they got engaged on Valentine's, and they were married by New Year's. That was my fastest singles couple that I've ever seen be created. And they were at our house, I think last year, and we're still friends, and it's so fun to watch them find their travel partner for life. But I have hundreds of stories like that, and it's magical, and I love bringing that for people. So if that was any of those concerns were yours, I definitely feel like I wanted to put that out there, and you can share this. Hi, Tom. Um, Thank you, Nancy, for chiming in. Nancy. So Nancy, she's got a sloth in that picture. That's on one of our trips. She was like, where were you on that one, Nancy? Is that Aruba? It's not Aruba, is it? It's gosh, I haven't done that tour. I want to do that tour, the sloth tour. She's an animal lover. She's like an animal whisperer. She's also one of our best agents, and she's hosting New Year's singles. So, as she says, she's always met at least one friend who became a lifelong travel partner. And honestly, that's the truth. I mean, it's just the way it goes. In fact, most of my friends are all from the singles trips now. And I think that's really why, just because we had that real love for passion for travel, and then we had time to get to know each other. And it wasn't an interview style experience, whether it was a friendship or romance. It was just an exchange and a little bit more of a relaxed environment. So I feel like these are incredibly important. things to groups to do. We have two more big ones coming up, and these shorter ones. I always want to mind people these short trips. We have a 5 nighter and a 3 nighter. We don't do them often. We mostly do 7 nights, and there's a reason for that. And it's business. And you'll notice that really no singles company does 3 nights and hardly any 5 nights. And the reason is because it's a lot of work to book your travel and book a group. It's a lot of risk. It's a lot of work. And we work just as hard if you book a 3 night as we do if you book a 7 night, and they're double the price when they're 7 nights, right? And so it's just not a moneymaker. We do it really almost as a loss leader and out of the goodness of my heart, because I really want more people to experience this. And I know it's a big commitment the first time. A lot of singles don't have a lot of vacation either. Americans in general don't have a lot of vacation. But let's just say you're gifted with 3 or 4 weeks. You're going to put a whole week and you've never met these people and you're not sure if you're going to like this experience. It's a big risk for a lot of people. They want to go with the safety zone. So we put a couple weekend trips on, and we put a couple 5 nighters on, so that you can get a little taste of what it is and really feel like you're comfortable, you're confident going into the next trip, where you don't feel like you're worried. I appreciate that. And Tom, is so nice to see you. Tom is one of our friends that we've met on one of our single sailings. He was actually on board with another singles group, and we got to be friends with Tom, and we're really happy to have him all the time. He's such a great leader and a great ambassador, I would call it, of any of the singles trips, and all inclusive feeling. And you need that, and you get that on the singles trips. There's always a couple people that are almost like the big brothers and sisters of what we do. They're really ambassadors of the program. They're people that care and remember how they felt when they were first single. Kind of like when you go to school for the first time, you don't know anyone. Of course, we have the hosts that we send and we hire to go, but you also have the actual guests that have been there again and again, and they want to make you feel comfortable. So you have that opportunity when you come on a singles trip. So I would hope you take advantage of that when you can. And we're not doing really any short ones. I don't foresee any short cruises or short trips in the next 2 years. So if you do want to do a little taster trip, so to speak, maybe that was a conundrum that I shouldn't use in a singles environment, but you know what I mean. I'm innocent. I really am. I'm very honest, and I try my best to make sure that we're surrounding you with the most authentic experience, creating the most authentic experience, doing our best to be our best. And I'm glad that so many of you have trusted me with your cruises, with your resorts, and with your singles trips. And I know that this company is growing very, very quickly, which is so exciting, because we worked so hard during COVID. It killed us, but we made it! Yay! And again, we're on track for $1 million in sales this year, which is like incredibly. I'm so proud and thankful. But if you do want to come with us, definitely, if you want to try a shorter trip, you don't have much time to do that, because the September one, the prices are not guaranteed past tomorrow. So the prices will likely increase. So we have locked in pricing till tomorrow for our 5-night Cancun all inclusive. And then we have a 3-nighter in November with Richie and his crew. And that's going amazing. But again, don't wait. When people go, oh, I'll go next time, I'm like, in 2 years? Like, I have no idea. And Joel and I are hosting the November sailing, by the way, and we don't host that much anymore. We are going to host a power couples trip, probably in 2024, maybe early 2025. I haven't figured that out yet, but we will host that one too. But really, we're management now, and that means that we just work all the time for our agents, and we're happy to do it. But we don't get on board so much, and when we do go on vacation, mostly we want to do it, to be on vacation and not be working, because hosting is not a vacation at all. It is a lot of work. You are really there to serve everyone, and all of the hosts that I train always are phenomenal. And if they're not, we retrain them and make sure that they are the next time, because it's a really big position. It's a really big job. And if you do want to do more hosting, you just look into our travel agent program. We do allow and train our travel agents on how to host groups. So that's another big caveat of working with Travel Fun, besides the fact that we have an incredible sales funnel and we give you leads. And we're just a really good team, and really happy to be a part of it. So I'm Shelby. You're fabulous. I hope this helps. You can send it to a friend. And I hope to see you on September 14th in Cancun, or November 17th on Royal Caribbean at Fort Lauderdale. See you soon. Bye-bye. Travelfun.biz.